Good good afternoon and good morning to the West Coast. I'm weather and radar meteorologist James West with a update of the California atmospheric river event that is starting to unfold across California, and it's going to be a big news story, big weather story for the next several days. So here is the current um, satellite image for the West Coast. What we can see is the large stream of clouds coming from well south of Hawaii. This is very predictable of a atmospheric river event. What happens is that this big stream of, of, of southern Pacific, tropical Pacific moisture heads towards California. It's pulled into California and it rains and snows across California. This is also, some people also call this a pineapple express because of the fact of it comes from the area and around Hawaii, and Hawaii is known for pineapples, and so that's why it's called a pineapple express. And so this brings a lot of rain and snow to California, and it'll be a big news event going forward. We are talking. One of the things that we can also look at that the satellite is also showing is the surface analysis. This is the West Coast surface analysis heading into California, and what we see here, these brown lines here, are called isobars, which are the lines for atmospheric pressure. Winds tend to go almost parallel to these directions on the isobars, and so what we are seeing is a lot of southwestern flow starting to head into California, and this is very indicative of an atmospheric river event. We have this low pressure system over the west, just west of northern California, with a warm front coming in. This is again, this system will move across California and bring the heavy rain and the mountain snow into those areas. And like we said, this is an atmospheric river event, and this is actually got a little bit of a graphic that we have created to kind of show what an atmospheric river event looks like. And what it really is just lots of water vapor being picked up across the Pacific Ocean, being moved across into California, where it meets the mountains first on the coastal range and then the Sierra Nevada, and those lift up all that moisture, producing clouds, and then eventually also rain and snow across the higher elevations of the Sierras. One of the things that these atmospheric river events also are concerning about is the fact that it also brings a lot of warmer air from the tropical Pacific into those areas. And so what can often happen is that the snow levels rise very high, sometimes 8,000 to 10,000 feet elevation. So everything that's below that elevation is receiving a lot of rain. Well, if we've had historical snowfalls in large parts of the Sierras and Nevadas, and rain on top of snow causes massive melting. And then when we add the warm temperatures to it, we're just going to increase the snow melt that will occur, which we'll talk about a little bit later into this presentation. In fact, a snow lab that's run by the University of California at Berkeley in the Central Sierra Nevada mountains is stating that they have measured 152% of the peak snow weather equivalents. The snow weather equivalent is when you take all the snow in a specific column of the snow, and if you were to melt it down, this is how much water would be in that snow column. So we're talking about they're at 152% of what it would normally be at this time of year, and they would normally be at this occurring at March 24th. So they're definitely 15 days ahead of the snow water equivalent in that area. And then we can see with these red lines that they are running well above average, and the snow water equivalent is already over 50 inches of snow, 50 inches of water equivalent. So that's more than 4 feet of water that's packed in the snowpack in that particular part of the Central Sierra Nevada mountains. Remember, the Central Sierra Nevada mountains are very important for California water. Because it acts like the water battery for when the Mediterranean climates of California switches from a rainy climate into a very hot and dry climate. This is actually, as the snow melts, it feeds into the river, the creeks and the rivers. They flow downstream into the Central Valley. It fills up the reservoirs that are designed to collect all that water for the water projects that provide water for the millions of people that live in California, and all the farmers that also irrigate their farms with that water. So that we will also talk about that a little bit later in this presentation, but first we'll talk about what is actually the weather event that is occurring on here. And so one of the things that I like to use is this is the GFS forecast model. This shows the atmospheric river coming in, and as we can see, we have a lot of that southwesterly flow coming in, bringing in that Pineapple Express atmospheric river event, and all these yellows and oranges indicate the heavy rains for that 6 hour period in this map. This is starting later tonight into early tomorrow morning and Friday, and we can see that a lot of that greens and oranges and yellows are falling over the Sierra Mountains, which indicate that it's falling as rain, not as snow. Only the far northern Sierras and Northern California are going to get hit with a large amount of snow, and just barely the highest elevations around Lake Tahoe and those areas will also see snow. So this is indicative of the very warm temperatures that are coming into this area. Additionally, as we follow it along, the rain continues onward on Friday into Saturday. So this is going to be a 12 to 24 hour event for this area as the system continues eastward across the Central Plains, across the Rockies into the Central Plains. We'll also see some rain and snow across the other areas that also have a large drought. There are pretty bad drought conditions, including the Great Basin into the southern Utah Canyonland areas, and then into the southern Rockies and central Rockies of eastern Utah and western Colorado. So this event will bring a lot of significant weather for the western half of the U.S. heading into the weekend. We still see the rain shifting southward into the Los Angeles Basin and San Diego Basin. So this event will affect all of California. It's just that the timing is a little bit different. First off will be the Northern California and Central California, followed by Southern California, heading into a little bit more into the weekend. We continue to see, heading into the weekend, a lot of rain continuing across California as that southwest flow continues to just bring in more of that Pacific rain and snow moisture into the south, into central and northern California, as the first system moves into the Central Plains and brings snow into the Midwest and rain into more parts of the central Mississippi Valley and the south. And so looking long-term wise, we see that the system continues eastward, and another system that we're also tracking is another smaller winter storm moving through the Midwest here, and it will move into the Northeast, bringing a little bit of snow tomorrow into early Saturday across the Northeast, and a few thunderstorm chances across the Southeast. So back to the West Coast, these are some of the rainfall totals from the National Weather Service in San Francisco. They are really they are projecting a large amount of heavy rains along the coastal areas, especially where the coastal mountains are. So Big Sur, 8 to 10 inches, Florida, 8 to 10 inches, 8 inches. Even San Francisco is going to see 2 to 3 inches of rain. And then we see all those heavy, dark red areas across the eastern San Joaquin and Central Valleys, and then into the Sierra Nevadas. And as we go to the National Weather Service in Sacramento, which covers those areas, we see at rainfall totals, these are rainfall totals, not snow totals, of 7.5 to 10 inches of rain across southern Lake Tahoe. Yosemite National Park, 10 to 15 inches of rainfall. This is a significant rainfall event, and as they indicate here, this is a major impact in the sense that we are going to see road and urban flooding. They're going to see flooding in creeks, streams, and rivers. There will be a risk of mudslides and rock slides, especially in areas that have been burned recently in those areas. And this is the indicative of how warm the system is the sense that the snow levels are going to rise, start out at levels where it could cause trouble for drivers going across the Sierra Nevada mountains early in the event. So the snow levels are going to be 3,000 to 5,000 feet, but as that warmer air coming in from the Pacific is going to raise the temperatures, the freeze level higher up into the mountains. So the snow is going to just continue the snow level is going to continue to rise into 6,000 to 8,500 square feet on Friday California, and then it might lower back a little bit as colder air brings back in. So what that indicates is that the rain's going to fall in at levels that are 6,000 feet and below, and that's why we're seeing, say South Lake Tahoe is at about 6,000, I think 5,500 feet. So that's going to fall as all rain. And as we know, they have received a lot of snow there. So that rain is going to fall on top of all that snow, and rain is a very good snow melter. And so what it's going to do is it's going to start overloading a lot of those creeks and waterways. And so we're going to start. We will hear about some significant flooding, especially in the creeks in those areas. In fact, a lot of the operators of the reservoirs across California are already starting to lower the levels of the reservoirs so that the reservoirs can absorb all that water that's going to start to melt across the Sierras and feed into those. So here's a picture of Folsom Dam, indicating that they're going to start releasing a lot more water through their floodgates to lower the levels, so that they can have more storage area for when the rains come, and also when the snow melts higher up into the atmosphere. And in fact, the dam, a lot of the reservoir levels are running well ahead of historical averages. Orville, which had the major issues with the flood control, spillways several years ago when we had an event similar to this, is at 116% of average and at 75% capacity. We have other ones that are at 81% capacity, especially in those northern areas. So there's several of the major reservoirs in Northern California are already at or above their normal capacity for this time of year, and are starting to reach their full capacity. They will. I understand that Orville is also going to start releasing a lot more water out of the system to lower this level, so they can increase, so that when it starts to rain, they will have enough storage area to be able to hold all the water that's coming in that way. Another thing that will be a significant story is wind gusts. We are expecting these storms to bring in a significant amount of wind gusts, especially across the Sierras. So not only will we have to contend with heavy rain and wet snow, we also see contentions with having to deal with gusty winds up to 70 miles an hour in the areas of the Sierras. This is a map that we generate on our wind radar, which is available on our website. I'll show that to you in a little bit. We also have extensive coverage going live on our website, with showing a lot of the details for the event. So be sure to check it out on our app and on our website. And then we also have other stories that are talking about the winter storm sweeping into the Midwest. One of the other great features that we have on is our weather radar. And so this shows you what we have going on here. And so we actually provide 4 days of the weather forecast, so you can actually animate it for today. You can see the rain and snow come in for today. You can also see that for tomorrow. You can see it, what we saw in the weather forecast live on our desktop app. This is also available on our mobile through our weather radar site. And so you can see animations for Saturday and Sunday. And you can zoom in and out to see a lot more of the features that are going on. The wind radar that I just showed you of that map is available here, so you can see the winds as they increase today. We can animate them. You can see that San Francisco is going to have 25, and then it's going to increase to 35, 40 mile an hour, 45 mile an hour winds later this evening and tonight. You can see the gusts really pick up across the Sierras as the system moves ashore. And you can see 40 mile an hour winds recorded in Reno on the eastern side of the Sierra Nevadas. So that is all I have today. I have the weather. I have the chat open. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them my way, and we will try to answer them. All right. Well, then, not receiving any questions. Thank you very much for joining me today. We will have additional videos tomorrow as this event unfolds, and be sure to check Weather and Radar on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for the and TikTok for the latest on this event. And check out Weather and Radar. Download it on the app, and make sure you have your notifications turned on so that you get the latest latest notifications about dangers of coming heading your way. Thank you very much, and have a great day.